Harlem Educational Activities Fund is simple: to help students from Harlem and surrounding areas develop academic abilities, social skills, intellectual curiosities to achieve that college degree and follow the correct path to succeed in the real world. They also take part in trips to other countries, like the one that they recently took where they discovered Botswana, to focus on the concerns including the HIV/AIDS pandemic. CEO and President of HEAF, Dr. Danielle Moss Lee, is here to shed some light on HEAF and also on the recent trip to Botswana. Dr. Lee, welcome to Open.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Can you tell me, what is HEAF?
Sure. HEAF is a college success program that identifies students across New York City in middle school and works with them until they have successfully completed a college degree through a variety of after-school, Saturday, and summer enrichment programs.
So primarily you work with students in the New York City area, or do these students also go to college elsewhere?
They go to colleges all over the country, okay. But they come from neighborhoods in 4 of the 5 boroughs.
Okay, and he recently went to Botswana. There was a Daily News article. There was a lot of press with the children going to Botswana to help with the HIV and AIDS pandemic. Can you tell us about this trip? Why was Botswana chosen this year, and what was the children's experience?
Sure. So one of our goals in helping kids to be college ready is to give them a broader sense of issues that are facing our local communities, our national community, and obviously the world at large. And so this was not our first international trip. But this year we were really excited to be traveling to Botswana because of its unique history. Botswana discovered diamonds after colonialism, and the country itself maintains ownership of those diamonds, and it's allowed them to sidestep a lot of the political turmoil that you see in many of the African nations following colonialism, but they've also built an incredible infrastructure and a public health system that seems to be going in the right direction in terms of HIV and AIDS. The estimated number of people affected by that in Botswana is about 1 in 4 citizens who are either HIV positive or have been personally impacted by AIDS or HIV, which is a huge number of the population. And so our kids had an opportunity to really study the political, social, and cultural history and traditions of Botswana. But a big part of why we go to different places is to provide service of some kind that will be sustainable beyond our visit. And so our kids were really focused on doing a public service announcement campaign led by Botswanan youth, focused on HIV and AIDS in the country and how it's affected young people.
So how many individuals went from New York?
So we had about 40 kids who took the class to learn about the history, but there were required research projects, interviews, and other kinds of things. So in the end, only 16 young people were able to go.
Wow, great weeding process. I see that young people are getting more actively involved in their communities and especially in social issues like AIDS and HIV. How has this impacted the 16 individuals that got an opportunity to go to Botswana?
I mean, I think that the kids learned all kinds of lessons. Just from a basic standpoint, we had a lot of kids on the trip who were the first person in their family to have a passport and to have the opportunity to travel internationally. So that was exciting in and of itself. But also understanding that you don't have to be rich or wealthy to have social value in a community. So we weren't, the Gates Foundation going in and providing vaccinations, but we could leverage the things that our kids do well, like youth organizing, workshop, management, and that kind of thing, to add value to the community that we were visiting.
And how long did you guys spend in Botswana?
We were there for 10 incredible days.
Wow. And during the course of those 10 days, the children were able to work with other young individuals as far as mobilizing AIDS prevention and things of that nature?
Well, here's the thing. So the kids our kids in New York City had an idea of what their public service announcements were going to focus on. And we worked with a group called Stepping Stones International in Machuti Village. What we found when we got there was that the kids in Botswana had no interest in discussing AIDS at all.
We're taking a look at some of your kids right now, helping out some of the students from Botswana. And so the kids in Botswana had no interest?
Well, you know, what one young person said was, we're kind of like, we have AIDS fatigue, because every discussion, every health class, every commercial you see is focused in some way on prevention and addressing the effects of this issue. And what they reminded us is that we're still teenagers and we still have other things that we're dealing with. Most notably was the recent teacher strike where their teachers were out of the classroom for 3 months. And so it was really about learning how, even when you're giving someone a gift, you have to listen to the things that are pressing in their lives in that moment and be able to change your game plan. And our kids did a great job at changing their game plan.
That's nice. So after their trip to Botswana, will they stay in contact with the students in Botswana?
Well, I know that everybody's already Facebooking and tweeting each other, and I'm sure that a lot of those kids are going to stay in close touch, as they have when we've been to Northern Ireland and Dakar, Senegal. We've been to Morocco. We've been to Bahia in Brazil. So it's been a great experience, and I think we're building global citizens.
So what's next for HEAF?
HEAF has big plans. We would definitely like to open additional branches in other boroughs of New York City so that we can touch more kids in all the communities that we know and love. I'm a former Bronx teacher, so I have a special affinity for Bronx, even though we're located on 125th Street in Harlem. And we just want to continue to increase the number of young people, particularly of color, who are successfully graduating from college. About 93% of our kids graduate with a 4-year degree in 6 years or less, and that is higher than any other statistic, particularly for Black and Latino students.
Wow, so do you have any plans for next year? Do you know which country you will be visiting?
We are in discussions about where our next destination is going to be, and I'm sure it's going to be just as delightful as our trip to Botswana was.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And we look forward to hearing more about the program, more about the student success, and we wish you all the best.
Okay, HEAF.org.
HEAF.org.